Goals with Olivia when applying solution-focused brief therapy would be helping her to see that she is the expert in her life and that she does have options. It would be important to allow her to speak into what she's most interested in working on in her life and then to collaboratively help her to set goals. That was found in Corey 2021. Goals with Olivia when applying the narrative approach would be working with her to pull apart the stories of her life that have defined her truths, and it would be important to listen to her respectfully and to point out ways that she has shown strength and to also point out the influences that these stories have had in her life, and that's Corey 2021 also. The role of the counselor in SFBT is basically to come alongside the client and help them to realize that they don't necessarily have to understand their problem and able to do something about it. Corey 2021 talked about that. In TAN 2022, the counselor would also help Olivia to notice what's already working in her life and help her to establish goals for creating more of that she's wanting to change. In narrative therapy, the role of the counselor is to take a position of not knowing. This allows the counselor to be curious, attentive, open, more empathetic. The counselor will help the client to see their stories and to guide them towards their ideal story. In a sense, kind of separating the client from the story and allowing them the space to open up and create a new path. That was Corey 2021. Interventions and techniques. TAN 2022 outlined many ways that solution-focused brief therapy could help Olivia. Many center around different types of questioning to help her to begin making movement towards her goals. Also acknowledging any pre-therapy change that happens from the time they make their appointment until their first appointment, because a lot of times that sets things in motion for them. Questions would be like exception questions, the miracle question, and scaling questions are all ways that could be helpful with SFBT. From narrative therapy approach, if the counselor tries to use techniques, sometimes it comes across as shallow and disconnected. The true beauty of narrative therapy is that the relationship that the counselor has with the client, creating that safe space and trust that allows the client to see their stories and also be open to hearing feedback from a different perspective. Corey 2021. King and Ford of 2024 states that being with clients as they sort through pain is biblical and is so important. So one way that they can do that in narrative therapy is through therapeutic letter writing. This allows the counselor to provide encouragement for their new narrative, and that's TAN 2022. The SFBT and narrative therapy approaches are compatible with biblical worldview and that people do have choices. TAN points several things that to keep in mind, and one of those is that we do live in a fallen world, as found in Genesis 3 of the Bible, and these theories don't really take into account that human beings are capable of evil. In integrating a biblical worldview with Olivia with SFBT, she could begin finding scriptures that are inspirational and helping her to work towards the goals as she makes changes that are in alignment with the goodness of God. And then in narrative therapy, again, scripture is a wonderful place to start. There's so many stories of people in the Bible, and it would be wonderful to study some of these and see how God has impacted their life in incredible ways. For me, the narrative therapy is more aligned with my personality and nature, and one that I would feel would be best in working with Olivia. Pulling apart some of the concepts of SFBT could also be helpful in creating some positive changes in her life quickly, but there's a lot of value in talking through her stories and the impact that those have had on her life. Thank you.